Bailey has a month's worth of medication in the fridge, and that's all we have. There is no other bottles of medication in the country, and his life is on hold at the moment. We don't know what's going to happen. There is no other product in the country that he can swap over to either, which makes the matter even worse. So he's been left in a very unsafe and unforgivable position when it could have been something could have been done sooner.
What's the backstory to this? So is it a problem getting it into the country?
The problem is it's not being allowed to be imported now because it doesn't reach GMP standards, although it is GMP certified in Israel, but just not in the UK. But this was found out over a year ago, when patients haven't been informed of that until last week. So we've been left in this situation now where our children's lives are at risk and they could end up in hospital again.
Have you written to health ministers?
Letters have been given to the MHRA, who hold, the decision on this. They could give us an extension, although what we really need, an extension, it's not going to really do a lot for us apart from weaning them down safely. But they're not going to be safe at the end of that because they need an oil to be on to remain safe. So there is no other products. What we need is an extension to keep them safe. So where we can import this medication at GMP standard, and that's the only resolution that we can see. Otherwise, our children are going to end up in hospital. Bailey's I'm going to have to prepare his neuros to have him come into hospital because he can't survive without that medication.
About 30 children, you say, are currently on this medication that you know of?
Yes, 30 people in total. So that ranges from children, young adults and adults, which range from, epilepsy, pain, anxiety, everything else. So a lot of people are going to end up suffering just for the namesake of, time, really. And it all could have been alleviated if we were told when this situation arose.
Time and time again, we've spoken about Bailey's situation, and if he can't afford it, the big question before was, is it whether you could afford to buy the medication and covering the cost of it, and if you couldn't, then he wouldn't have it, and the impact that was going to have. Now you're in a situation where you have been fundraising and you have the money to buy the medication, but now it's not available to you. I mean, what do you do with that? How do you feel about that?
When we found out last week, I sort of pushed that to the back of my mind because I didn't want to think about it because the impact is massive. And then there was the panic and the emotional side of it. I was looking at Bailey and, watching him do all the things he hasn't been able to do previously, like play on his laptop, choose the places he wants to go to. He's gone out for a picnic today, loaded up with his map and his keys, and, he's got that zest for life, and it's amazing to see. And now I'm angry. I'm really angry because that's going to get taken away from him. And I'm angry because I can't even look Bailey in the eye now because I'm watching him enjoy his life so much that I feel guilty that I can't keep providing this medicine for him.
Does he know?
He doesn't comprehend that, which is, he doesn't understand things like that. He's got global delays and learning difficulties. So, it's a bit of a relief that he doesn't know what's coming, really. But also it's really heartbreaking that people can make this decision whether Bailey lives or dies or has a good quality of life or not. And how can that be? They shouldn't be playing God with people's lives when it's just down to a simple, little signature to say, yeah, it's GMP certified. It's just, they've allowed it to come into the country all these years, and it's safe. Bailey's been taking that now for 2 years. So I just don't see, the only alternative to keep Bailey safe is to keep him on this medicine. And likewise, when the law was changed in 2018 for it to be prescribed on the NHS, they should have set up the framework, they should have set up the funding, and they should have sorted out the education and the importing of these products. The only way to keep these children safe is on an NHS prescription funded and imported on the medicine that they are currently on. We cannot switch. It's unethical to switch when they're doing so well on a medicine as well. Switching will make Bailey, even he's so sensitive to drug change, he cannot do that. He will end up in hospital. And we just need this to be rectified. You know, if they've got an ounce of compassion and education, they need to educate themselves of the consequences of what will happen to our children if this is withdrawn from them.
Rachel, are you going to march on Westminster? You've done it before. Will you do it again?
I'll do whatever it takes. I'll do whatever it takes for people to listen and understand. They need to be in a room with us to listen. It's not just a case of giving a paracetamol and changing it from, you know, different manufacturers. This is an oil which is unique and the only one that works for our children. So they need to understand that it's not simply take the oil away and give them another one. It's really not that easy.